All right, welcome everyone to our daily Forex market analysis calls. This one's for May 12, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And if you have questions about your investment needs, please talk to your investment advisor. All right, let's start off by taking a look at our calendar here. In terms of the news here, we just have the Bank of England report that came out, which was dovish, more dovish than what the market was expecting. As a result of that, we saw pound drop. And then we had unemployment numbers come out the US, which were positive. And that's pretty much it. Now, going into May 12th here, we have G7 meetings tomorrow, and then really the important data is coming out for the US. So this is important. We'll have to be careful with this one, pay attention to this. Retail sales, CPI is the inflation number, core inflation number. These are very important pieces of data that the Fed pays attention to when they're talking about raising interest rates. So if these numbers don't come out well or positive, then a Fed is not likely to raise interest rates. So this is important data to pay attention to. We also have a couple of FOMC members speaking. Again, sometimes when these members speak, they can put out comments that can affect the currency negatively or positively. So that's pretty much it for tomorrow, though. That's the main, most important data. And then we do have preliminary GDP numbers for Germany, but the critical data, the data will be this one here. So let's move on to the charts here. Let's take a look at what's going on. Looking at our chart here, this is our euro. So euro is still in that that range that we were looking at. So if we were to move this line out of the way, let's move this out of the way. So this is the range that it had been in. It did go up prior to the elections, then came right back in, and we are still trading there. So at this point, this is a very neutral close for the day. We were looking for a break of this level. It did break, but it was not sustained. So price came down and then pushed back all the way up again. At right now, it does look like it wants to come lower. The day close we would consider would be neutral here. And the next level, what that means is that we could go either way. Price could come back and test this 108.50 level and then push back higher. Or if it breaks, then we are looking for a further move to the downside. So we are looking for one of these, price pushes up, and then we drop. So the first target here will be, let's just drop our line here. So the first target will be right over here, which is a 107.80 level, which is also actually our weekly S3 level from pivot point perspective. So we are looking for the reaction at 108.50 level. If it holds, if the price holds above 108.50, then we could see a pushback back into the range here. Or if we see a drop, then we could see price come back into this level. Prior to that, though, pay attention to this 108.20 level, and then we're looking for a 107.80 level. Here's our 1 hour chart. Price has been sitting here and has been going a little bit lower. So holding below the pivot, it's been testing the pivot, and now again we need to see if the price can maintain below 108.50 level. At this point, looks bearish, so we'll just have to see how it reacts to that level again. In terms of our target, the target to the downside would be 107.80. Target to the upside will be something back into the range, and this could go back into 109.00 and even higher. But it would be towards the midpoint of the range or higher. Pound here. Pound had a big drop today. This is what happened with the Bank of England. And then it came into our S3 level, and did a double bottom there and has since just traded sideways, hasn't really done much. So based on our daily here, this is bearish, and we would be looking for another move to the downside. So this one here, this level 12900 would be a good level for it to pull up into, and then we could see another drop. So the target here would be 128.30 level. So let's take a look at the 1 hour perspective here. This is this was the drop. So it held the pivot level here. It could go into 12900, but looks like it just reacted to this support and resistance over here, 128.92. So it did come close, but it didn't quite make it all the way to 12900. So right now it's holding below the pivot. Looks like it wants to drop further here. So in this case, the first target will be the bottom here, 128.50. Below that, we are looking into the bottom of this pin, approximately into here, 128.30 level. That will be the second target. And the move, so this is the normal move that we would expect, would be, we saw a drop. So let's see let's take a look at our pivots, our fibs here. Didn't quite get to 38.2, we just stayed below that. And now here we are, first target will be 28.50, which is a zero level. And then 127% is at 12800. So keep that level in mind as well. So this is where we are currently. Looks like some volatility has come into the market. So there we are. I will remove the fibs, but those levels are on our chart. So below this here though, below here, this is what we're looking for, 127.67, about 70-ish level. So those are the next couple levels to the downside. The bias is to the downside on this one. Back looking into this bottom range here. Dollar CAD here, this was a nice setup actually. It did a reversal right at R2 and then nice engulfing candle and dropped. So oil has been, so let's look at commodities now. Okay, so this is the range that it has been trading in. So this is still range bound, and we would consider this range bound at the moment as well. Did have big pin on the top and smaller body, even though it's green. It still has a bit of a bearish bias to it just because of the long wick to the upside. So in this case, it could go back up and do a test higher and then drop. So in that case, this will be the level we'd be looking at. Here we are. So this level here, this support and resistance area, we talked about this yesterday as well. So price went slightly higher, did a high test all the way. So this inefficiency is filled now all the way up here. As you can see, this is where the price took off from, and we went and filled all of that, and then it dropped. So now it's playing around the pivot point, but we could see it go all the way up here and then drop. So keep that in mind. That could happen, but either way, if price comes into towards the bottom here, we have to watch this level 136.40 area. If the price holds above this level, then we are likely to see another move to the upside. So we could see price do one of these and then take off. So we could see a triple bottom type of trade setup. So that would be something to watch out for. Or we could see price sort of come into this level here, 137.50-ish level, and do one of these and then drop. So we have to be open to both of these possibilities because this is range bound, and we could see moves to the either side on the range bound in a range bound market. So this has to break the range before we can really call something in terms of where this is going. Right now it's range bound. Okay, so in terms of commodities, we do need to keep in mind oil. Let's take a look at oil. Oil has been going up for the last couple of days. We saw a huge drop for a number of weeks actually, and now we have had a bullish pin bar in this. We saw that the inventory drawdowns was higher than what was expected, which kind of started this off, and since then we have seen it go up. So this is a neutral candle, bullish to neutral candle. So at this point we could see the oil price rise, and it could go into 48.89 level here into this support and resistance area. So that's something to keep in mind. If the oil keeps on going up, we could see dollar CAD drop. So there's a direct correlation between oil and dollar CAD. Oil goes up, dollar CAD drops, which means the Canadian dollar strengthens. So keep that in mind. So now another thing we need to look at is gold. Gold and Aussie tend to be influenced by each other. They are positively correlated. So we have seen our first bullish candle in a number of days. So price was not able to break the low here, which was very important, did not break the low, and now we have had a bullish candle close. So this looks bullish. However, we do have this resistance in play, and this is where Aussie looks very similar here as well. We have had 3 days where the price hasn't broken the low, so it could go higher. However, this important level, 1228.69, this is important level, so price has to get through this before it can go any higher. And if it doesn't, if it goes up to tests it and then drop, then we are looking at price coming down. So at this point, this will be the range that it's trading in. So it has to bounce off of the 1228 level for it to come lower. Now the other scenario is where it breaks through the range, because this is bullish. So let's say price does a bit of a pullback here and then goes up, breaks through the range. Then we are looking for another move to the upside. But the candle is quite bullish here and gives us a bullish bias for the day. So currently we are into the levels where the markets could be turning. So we have to be very careful with this, because we have seen price drop for a number of days, and finally we seem to be finding a bottom here. So while this is happening, this is where the trading can get a little bit tricky, because we don't know which way to trade. So we may think that this is a bottom and now price will go up, but it could just hit the ceiling here and then drop. So this is where we have to be careful and just watch out for that, because we are into key levels on the market. So looking at a 1 hour chart here, price is holding below this previous level, sort of this support and resistance area. See how we have support here, which turns resistance here. So this will be key. So 1226 area, if it price holds below, then we're looking for price to go back into this 1214 area. However, something that could happen, and this is where we are likely to see another bullish move. Once it crosses over, then we're looking for a pullback and then another move to the upside. So this will be the test. It is making higher lows here, which is a good sign. Now it needs to break up, and the first level would be right into here, which is our 1237-ish level. So that will be the first target to the upside. Again, critical thing is to see if it'll break up. So if price of gold moves up, Aussie is likely to go with it. And another thing to look at for Australian dollar would be copper. This is the copper. This is what's going on with copper. Copper hit the bottom for last 2-3 days now. Price has not broken the lows. If price doesn't go down, chances are it's going to go up. So today, though, we did have a big pin to the upside, but we did close with a bullish body. This here, this is important support area. Now, this will be interesting. This is what we are seeing in Aussie, where it's trading in a bit of a range now. So now I would expect price to move back up here. So the bias would be bullish here. We're looking for price to move back up, but important level will be 2.53. If the price does not break that level, so what we could see is as copper goes up, Aussie may go up, and then once it hits 2.53 level, it may come down again. So keep an eye on this as we trade the commodity currencies. We just need to see what's going on with our these pairs as well. So this is copper. This is what it did, pushed up, came back down, and now it has been sideways. It depends. Some broker, the question is which broker offers these commodities charts. FXDD offers it. You could have a demo account with them. Try that, they will offer it. And then other than that, we have, there may be some other brokers who offer them as well. I am not certain which ones. I know some of them do, others don't. I would say just check it out, Jake. TD Ameritrade. Oh yeah, another way to get these, thanks Anne. Another way to get these charts are through your, what do you call it, your normal, TradingView has them, which is an online charting platform. And also we have Yahoo Finance will have the commodities charts as well. If your broker doesn't offer these charts, you can go to Yahoo Finance, or like Ann said, TD Ameritrade has it, FXDD has it. Some of the Forex broker are nowadays, they're offering these other charts as well. So you can trade indices and CFDs and stuff like that with them. So they may offer those charts. So now that we have looked at gold and copper, as we can see, this is the same thing that Aussie is doing as we saw in gold. Price has not exactly the same setup, but price hasn't really broken the low in the last 3 days. Last night we came and tested it when New Zealand dollar dropped as a result of RBNZ. We saw Aussie drop here as well, but now we have a full bullish candle pattern here. So this is bullish pin bar. Once we get a bullish pin bar, we are generally looking for a move to the upside. So this looks very bullish at the moment, especially combined with support not getting broken for the last 3 days. So this looks bullish. Our outlook here is bullish from here on out. Important thing to keep in mind would be 73.80 level, and then this level right here, 73.98. So 73.80 to about 7400 level is would be 2 levels to keep in mind, because if price does not break this level, we could get similar type of move that we were looking at in gold. We could get one of these. So keep that in mind. But once this breaks to the upside, we are essentially looking for another move to the upside. It has turned, based on the signals, this has turned bullish now. So one strategy that could be used here would be to just take a long trade and make it small, and the stop could go below the level, and we may be able to hold it for a few days, which is once the price crosses this level, then this is the next one, and we may see this here could get refilled again. See just how we had this big inefficient move. It came back and got filled. It took several days, so we could see this inefficiency getting filled as well. So that's the bias on Aussie here. Looks like it's pushing. It was coming back, but now it is starting to push back up now. So if the price stays above the pivot point, as you can see, the pivot points, all these levels have been kind of steady for the last 3 days, because price has been trading in this very small range. And if the price stays above the pivot point here, we're likely to see a push to the upside. And then we could see, so the first target will be kind of about here. Second one is at 74.20, and then we're looking for further move to the upside. So bias has certainly shifted in the Aussie here. So let's take a look at New Zealand here as well. New Zealand, we had a big drop as a result of Reserve Bank there. And now we are into, excuse me. Okay, we're into important level here. So this is a big bearish candle. So based on the daily close, the bias would be to the downside. However, excuse me, because the commodities are turning, we could see this hit the bottom here and then move back into the range. So this one could be a little bit tricky. Bias will be to the downside, but we may not see a huge move. The first target to the downside would be 67.74, this target here. And this is coming from right over here. So 67.74-ish area will be the first one, but we could just see price, if Aussie starts taking off to the upside, we could see New Zealand dollar follow as well. So in this case, New Zealand is weaker, New Zealand dollar is weaker than the Aussie, so we could see another drop, but I think we're coming into the bottom as well. As all the commodities start to turn, this will start to turn as well. So looking at the 1 hour chart, we can see this big drop. Right now, price could go back and test the low right here. So we could get a double bottom like this. We could get a double bottom and then move back up. And once the price breaks this level here to the upside, so let's say price goes up, we could fill this inefficiency up, just like we filled it up in one of the other pairs that we just discussed. We could come back and fill this entire inefficiency, but it has to break above this level 68.60, and then we could see this one chewed up fairly quickly. So keep that in mind. At this point, it is bearish based on the big drop here, but I would be bearish with caution here. Pound yen here, bearish close for the day. First bearish close in quite a few days, and we are into these higher levels here. So we could see a double top here, which this is what this looks like a double top right now. So in this case here as well, we could see a reversal in this big up move here. Question here is that this is the first candle close here, so we could see a pullback higher and then another move down. So I would be cautious with this. So in terms of the pullback, we could get a deeper pullback here. So based on the daily close, we are bearish on this. See how we have for 3 days price tested the highs and then dropped. So now we could see the price go into 147.15 level. So we could go up here and then drop. This is, I would keep this in mind, so we could get a bit of this type of situation into the same level here, and then we drop. The target here would be 145.68 level, so about 100 pips below where we are currently, this one right here. But before we drop, we could pull back up. So since this is the first move to the downside, let's put our fibs on. That's 50% pullback, so that looks very good. 147.15 level looks really good. 50% pullback, and it is important support and resistance area, and then we could drop. Do keep in mind though, we could see price come back into 61.8% pullback because there is this inefficiency that could get filled. So here we have bullish pin bar, and now price has moved up since then. So we could see this going to 50% or 61.8% because this was a sharp drop. So it's an inefficient move, which means it could get filled, or we could just move into this 50% pullback and then a drop. But overall though, the bias is to the downside. So we're looking for price to come down into 145.68 level. Dollar yen here, bearish close for the day. This looks bearish, but there is a big pin or a pin on the bottom, which is the same size as our candle body. So this would make me a little cautious because it gives a neutral bias to our price here. This is not completely bearish like the other one is. Pound yen looks more bearish. This one looks neutral to me. So at this point, it could go either way. It could go to the top 114.39, or it could come into the bottom 113.40. So a lot of pips in the move there. Right now, it's right in the middle. Again, we had a big pin, and now price is pushing back up. in terms of our, it's right into the pivot here. We could see price come all the way into this 114 level and then do a drop. So the move could look very similar to what we were looking in the pound. So we could get one of these, like come into this support and resistance area and then a drop here. But we did have nice double top formation here, engulfing candle, and then a drop. So we could see this pullback and then another drop to the downside. So 113.40 would be the first target to the downside. So we are neutral to bearish on this. Euro yen here, yesterday we had talked about this being in a range, and it pushed off of the top level here. Now it's come and given us a bearish candle close. So based on that, we are bearish in this one. And in this case, we would be looking for price to move towards the bottom of the range, which is a 12300 level. So let's go up here. So we could see price move up higher, either into this level, or we could see price come into this previous support and resistance level, this one right here. So that is, those are the two pullback levels. So we could see one of these, or we could see price just goes up, test this, and then comes back down. Right now, we'll trade this as the range-bound market. If the price goes all the way to the top, 124.45, that will be a selling level. And if the price comes into 123.02, that would be a potential buy. Unless price just drops through the level for some reason, then that would change the bias. But overall, the bias is to the downside in a range-bound market. Okay, other than that, EURCAD, this is a neutral close here. We do have a large pin to the upside, and this is where things may start turning. So EURCAD could be a pair to watch, because if euro starts to weaken and Canadian dollar starts to go up because oil is going up, this could be a bearish trade opportunity here. So we could see price actually come back up into this level for a pullback and then drop. So let's take a look at what the 1 hour looks like. So this is the previous support and resistance level. We could see price go kind of like this and then drop, or it could also come into this level, 149.50 level. So at this point, this would be a pair to watch. Those will be the couple of levels, 14900 and 1.4900 and 1.4950 for potential short levels, but do keep track of dollar CAD. So if dollar CAD is dropping, this will drop as well. And then we also need to keep an eye on oil. If oil goes up, this will drop. Euro Aussie here, again, the same thing. Because the commodities are getting stronger, this is very bearish. This is actually a better setup than EURCAD here. This looks bearish at the moment. We have seen lower highs going in, and at this point, looking for another drop here. 46.50 level will be the target to the downside here. We could see, looks like it has retreated a little bit, and we are looking for a move to the downside. So here we are constantly getting lower highs. So this pair looks good in terms of a shorting opportunity. So EURCAD, very nice setup for the day. We have red candles, big pin to the upside, bearish candle close. So this is bearish pin bar. And now we're looking for a move to the downside. 46.50 is the next target. Okay, New Zealand CAD here, because of the drop here, we had a nice pullback, did not fill the inefficiency, but had a nice pullback, and now it looks like it can move lower. Between the two, as the oil goes up, Canadian dollar will be stronger. So we could see this come down. On the daily here, we'd be looking for another move back into 93.20 area in the bottom here. It could push back up all the way into 94.11 and then drop. The outlook is to the downside, 93.20 20 area here in the bottom. Aussie New Zealand here, we got a bit of a pullback, and now we're looking for another move up. Very, very bullish close on the day, so this looks bullish. So we're looking for further move to the upside, and the targets would be, the first target would be 1.0800 and then 1.0830 level right up here. So this looks very bullish at the moment. And looking at 1 hour, it did pull back a bit, and then it has gone up since then. It did not come back and fill this inefficiency. At this point, inefficiency is open, so it looks like it looks very bullish. It's broken above the high now, and it is trying to break as we speak this previous high from this evening. So this looks quite bullish at the moment. So Aussie New Zealand is another pair which is good pair. Euro New Zealand. Euro New Zealand had come down a bit. It came into this previous support and resistance at 158.36, and now since then it has pushed back up because New Zealand dollar is dropping. Okay, so it's pushing back up based on the daily close, though. This looks bullish as well. So the target here would be 159.37 to the upside. And at some point, it will fill this inefficiency. So what we could see in this one, something to keep an eye on, would be this type of a move, because euro is not hugely bullish at the moment. So we could see price come and test the high again, 159.37, and then drop. Or we could just see price just hold this 159.00 level, somewhere around there. So that's another one. But a stronger setup would be if we get a double top formation here, intraday double top, and then we could see the price drop. So that one we have to watch, but looks bullish at the moment. So we're looking for another move to the upside. Pound New Zealand here. Pound was weak as well today, and as a result of that, we did see this drop. And now, so it came all the way into here, did not, so filled about half the inefficiency. Now we are seeing it push back up. Based on the daily, though, this is not as strong as that's the other pair. So this one, we would treat this more as a range bound. So we could see price go up, but I'm seeing this as a range bound. We haven't really broken out of this range. Even with this move up here, it wasn't sustainable. It pulled back in. And based on the daily candle close, this looks more neutral because we have green body, but we have a wick that's quite substantial as well. As a result of that, the bias is neutral. However, it could pull up before it goes down. So we could see it come back into this 188.80 level right here and then drop from here. So we could see one of these moves. Keep that in mind. Okay, so the last one we have is Pound Aussie here. Pound Aussie looks bearish. So this is a similar setup, but opposite in Aussie dollar. We saw Aussie dollar, we had a red candle, and then we have a bullish pin bar. In this case, it's a bearish engulfing candle, but same story here. 3 days, it hasn't been able to break the high. As a result, it is dropping. Aussie is stronger now between between Aussie and New Zealand. Aussie is stronger. So pound has been weak because, especially with Bank of England, it is weak. So now this looks like it wants to move down lower. So in terms of our targets here, this is where we are looking at 1.7360 level. That will be the next target to the downside here. Below that, we are looking at this approximately 7,200 level approximately. So those will be the next two levels to the downside, but we are bearish on this one here, Pound Aussie. Okay, so this one, one way to trade this would be to take a short. We could wait for a bit of a pullback, but it would be a short and a stop would go above the high here, and we're looking for price to drop. So this is where we are. Price is already moving lower. It held this level, and now it looks like it wants to move lower, so that this is our target 73.60 area. So see how we have triple top, almost quadruple top here. So that looks very strong. It basically means that price tested this level several times and wasn't able to maintain that level or break that level. So now we have moved down. And in terms, so this is 23% pullback. So it did not pull back very much. When price only pulls back 23%, it generally means that it's going to drop further. Now, do keep in mind the commodities, the price of commodities, and because that will influence what happens with all of these pairs. If for some reason something happens and oil starts to move down or gold starts to move down further, Aussie will be impacted by that. So we may start to see this go back up. However, I do like how it looks at the moment because this looks bearish. It's holding below this previous level here, and now it looks like it wants to move lower. All right, anything else we need to look at? Or any questions? Okay, so we'll take that as a no.